Hey people, I found some ancient writings that better describes what's going on with this rabbit that's always cut in the throat. You'll see them in a lot of Christian art, and it's similar to what's in Egypt. You'll often see the rabbit or the cat and the knife and the serpent and the tree. So the serpent's Apophis. He's also love light, and that was what was in the garden. Apophis is a population, and with good leadership you can cram a lot of population into a city. But when it gets too much, or with poor leadership, you have to cull it out some. They had the long-eared cat in Egypt or down in Africa, but they also had this long-tailed rabbit. And I'm sure this is where our word rabid comes from. The cat was rabid, the rabbit's rabid. And so what they're saying is to those with ears to hear. And you often hear me read the word they say is earth. Sometimes it reads backwards and forwards, and it says to those who share ears. You see this rabbit in the end carved in stone all over Egypt. So it's possibly in the time that these paintings were made, they didn't have that rabbit around anymore, but they did have a cat with big ears, so maybe they added the tail later. So Apep or Apophis was the ancient Egyptian spirit of evil, darkness, and destruction. As the arch enemy of the sun god Ra, he was a malevolent force who could never be entirely vanquished. And every night as the sun travailed through the underworld, his roar would fill the air and he would launch his attack. So when the sun goes down, that roar you hear fill the air at night, that's the roar of sex going on. And that's a population launching his attack. And so the lunar cycles are 29 and 0.53, 29 and a half. So you have 14 waning and 14 waxing and one full. But if you watch the moon for a month, this is what you see. The moon is the woman, and it's pumping its cycle. So during the Roman period, he was sometimes referred to as he was spat out, and considered to have been born of the saliva of the goddess Neith. That's where you get your word underneath, beneath. The saliva from underneath. And according to one myth, Apep would trap the boat of Ra in his massive coils, referred to as sandbanks. So it represented a river, and this is the river bends. You have the outer bend and the inner bend. And so that's why this is it's confusing, because it's talking about more than one thing. Same as the Bible, it always does the same thing. It has many meanings. So in some texts, it was equated with Set, and an army of other gods that would to fight Apep to help maintain order, to fight the population to help maintain order. So Apep would swallow the sun god, but they would cut a hole in the belly of the snake to allow the sun god to escape. So like Set, Apophis was associated with various frightening natural events. Unexplained darkness, eclipse, earthquakes. You know, if something's wrong, it's because of the populace that we need to thin them out. We got global warming coming, and we need to thin out a populace. So in some tombs, the Hathor Ra is transformed into a cat who sliced the huge serpent with a knife. Apep was also represented by a circular ball, the evil eye of Apep being struck by the pharaoh in numerous temple scenes. The pharaoh who struck down Apop. Apep was also known by many epithets, such as the evil lizard that encircled the world. So at one time, the serpent had legs. So Apep led an army of demons that preyed on the living and the dead. To defeat this malevolent force, a ritual known as banishing Apep, banishing Apop, was conducted annually by the priests of Ra. So Apep was hated and feared by the Egyptians, but two of the Hyksos rulers chose his name as their coronation names. The Hyksos, that's the ones that's claimed to be the Jews. So I found this the other day when I was making that movie about the bull getting stoned. But this is the word it uses every time it says, I am the God that brought you out of Egypt. But it says to evixia, who? E-V-X-I-Y-A-E-U or H-U. To evixia who use flu, U-S, to use. Use the flu to make empty, to make moody moot, the word for death, empty, or M-U-T, moody moot, to make them not talk anymore, moody moot. So I found this in 2 Samuel 14:11, and every word that starts with a like this, I'm going to read it backwards, and everything following this tack, I'm going to read the next word backwards and forwards. So this is, instead of N-A, this is going to be A-N-A. And so it says, to Tamar's cranium, like to let, please let remember, to Tamar's cranium. And to Tamar is like what word? AMR is word. So what word is cranium? Them like to have you kill. Kill also means to roll over. From the rabbit, and this is just two different Bibles showing the two different spellings, where one Bible came later, and these are also dimensions of where the stars are, and they're changed. They had to change it, the number value, by 10 by taking this yod out. From the rabbit, Galades. Galades, as in like Gallant, is riding out with his sword. Galades is, that's almost right, the avenger of blood. The Galades. Like the Everglades would mean stricken of trees, to cut everything down. Of chateau, lays from hand to. Of chateau is that's 1/5 of your soul. In Egypt is the chateau, and it was also your part of your reputation, what you left behind, your mark on earth. And it also meant the force of gravity that held you down. When you were cut loose of your shadow, you was dead, you was gone. Up the chateau lays from hand to. And then when it comes after this vav, you know this two doesn't read as two, because this vav reads as two. So it goes to the next word is tain, T-A-I-N, to tain, to acquire in the new word. High have you from all people, from Surat bank the share. From Surat, that's that silly looking shave that the priests used to do on top of their head. From Surat, from shave. The bank, you can bank on, is guaranteed. The share. The share is a plowshare. It means, and it was the same word, it was on your deed, your share of earth. The share. High have you from the people, from the power, M-A, from power, L, of people, from the power of the people. From Surat, you guarantee the share. You will get your share of the shave. So the other meaning of this is in the cycles of the moon. With that lunar calendar, it doesn't line up quite. You have 12 extra days, I believe, so every 3 years, they have a 13th month, and every 19 years they'll come back where the moon sits the same as it was 19 years ago. The moon will sit in the same place at the same time, I think about an hour off. And so that's what's happening, is we're on a 19-year cycle of depopulus. And so 19 years ago, just kind of think of what happened then. That's what's going on now. We're on a 19-year cycle of depopulus, to depopulate. All right, I'm gonna cut this off here. Good day.